Hi, everybody, and welcome to the revival of the divine feminine within. This is what we call a soul revival. I'm so excited to be teaching this. I'm so excited to be guiding you guys through this. I'm so excited to just be here, to be still here, and I mean here upon earth. I'm going to be turning 50 years old in April Fool's Day, actually. And I never ever celebrated me on any other birthday. Other people celebrated me. Other people tried to surprise me with birthday parties. Everybody tried to really go out of their way and put off beautiful birthday parties. And I've had some amazing events. But in those, I always carried one thing: guilt. And I never wanted that attention on me. I didn't like the fact that I had to have people singing and blowing out candles, or that it was made all about me. Very hard thing to accept. And some people would say, I can't believe that. That's hard to believe because, you have such a big personality. And that's part of the persona. That's part of the natural confidence that I have that comes from the soul self that really truly resonates. But there's two doors to our hearts, and there's two stories, and there's two parts, and there's two sides, and there's always this essence of what we don't know and what people don't know about us. And so in the soul revival was the very hurt, sad woman who was a sad child, who was a sad teenager, who only ever wanted to see the world be a better place and for everyone to be kind and loving. And so there was a whole journey that kind of one day hit, and it just like smuck. It hit me hard, and I was in my 30s, and I said, there's crucial pivotal points in a person's life where we go through changes, and when we are really truly just living in the one little bubble, that one dimensional living, we're not awake and aware to what is actually happening in our existence in the moments, in the time that we are here. And so my why to this was finding my way home to me, was that I realized when I kind of hit the wall was that I had gotten so far away from self, so far away from anything that I was saying that I was from my core of myself, my core values. And I was getting so far away from there that I was so far away from home that I had to come home. And I had to find my way back to me. And I'm just looking down at the dates. Wonder what I'm looking at? I just want to be able to bring up the dates that this is happening. So the way home to me was worth the investment, was what I always said. And so in the More Than Existing book, in writing that book that's over there that I can't reach for, in writing More Than Existing, the very first statement that's there was written well before the book was ever written. And it was, that was book number one. And that was the book of, I'm done. I'm finding joy and happiness no matter the cost. And I had no idea what the cost was going to be. I had no idea of what was to come, but I knew beyond anything that something had to end. And that is just as powerful as starting again. There's something so powerful in seeing the light of a moment, of recognizing that you're done. And I say this to a lot of women who are, who go through that stage of a married life and spending a lifetime with a partner, and there's either like an ending and there's a divorce, or there's an ending all the way to the end of a life, and one has to leave. And I said, there's so much happening in that moment that we're so unaware of. So when one person takes that last breath and they leave earth, and their pain is over, their suffering, their moments on earth are done, there's that breath of peace. And for the person that's left, is the hurt is just beginning. So they take the breath of, and so their new story, both are starting a new story. There's an ending for both, and there's a new beginning for both. But what will that new beginning look like? And how does that new beginning go? And so in my other work that I do that I'm going to be teaching is Heaven on Earth, is that I I had to create my heaven on earth. So because when I was said I was done and I didn't know what was to come, that there was hell to come in so many ways. And so, but in that time, in that place, there was also a lot of beauty. And what I've come to understand of everything that I have experienced in this life is that I have a lot of faith in the dark. And when things go dark and when times are hard, I actually do have a lot of faith. The problem was I didn't have faith in me. I had a lot of faith outside of me. I had a lot of faith in the light of the God consciousness. I had a lot of faith in the Divine Mother, who is the divine goddess, Mother Mary. I found myself having faith in Kuan Yin, who's the statue behind, in all of the sense of, and I don't mean like I lost my faith in God to have faith in this. I just knew that with everything that I would have in my meditations and my prayers and the images that I would see and the power of women who would have walked before us, or the light of the biblical stories in understanding them from a place of fear, that I had a lot of faith. And in everything, that times would get better. There was always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. What I didn't get and what I didn't realize at the time was I was the light. I was the light. I was the light in the darkness. I was the light that was going to be at the end of the tunnel. And what I've come to understand at almost 49 years old and thinking, I may live to be 100. I got grandparents that lived to be 96, 97 years old. There's a possibility I could live to be 100 years old. And at 50, I have hit the crone stage. I've hit that place of wisdom. I'm a grandmother. I've hit that point of, and I don't know if we understand love to the degree of love until we have a grandchild, because then we can see ourselves and we can see our children and we can see another generation that we have not yet seen with another level of love, of a sense of unconditional love. And that's the energy of recognizing, if I'm going to live another 50 years, if there's a possibility I may live another 50 years, I better damn well find something in me that I haven't been seeing, that I haven't been recognizing, or that I have not been appreciating, or that I have not been caring for. And there's a whole lot of this and that happens in the world, and there's a whole lot of things that I've experienced, and there's so many things that you probably got them forgotten. And what I've come to realize is that the things that you were forgetting is because you didn't attach to them. There was no attachment, or you suppressed them, that you just kept it down. And what I'm finding now is that I've let go of all these labels and titles that I had over the years. And I was still holding on to stories of being the hairdresser and who I was as a hairdresser. That was a career. That was a job. That was a part of my life. It was a part of an extension of my existence. But I have no attachment to being the hairstylist. And so I write up the stories, I write up the journeys, and I always say, I know people are writing for me to have I know people are waiting for that tell-all book to come out. They believe that that's how we create the stories and the illusions of the truth of what we think people are like, or what we think their environment is like, or what we think they live like, is that they think hairdressers know it all, they hear it all, they got all the story, they know all the gossip, they know. No. Because the last thing that most of us ever wanted at the end of the day was to take somebody else's stuff home with us, because we already had enough of our own stuff. And that was the problem. Nobody's seen us as human, and that we had our own. And at the end of the day, after we compassionately, kindly, and with love listened to everyone else, that we didn't have enough space left in us to carry anything else. So we had to really let go of anyone else's stories. So I didn't have an attachment to what was happening in somebody else's life. All I remember was how it felt to be in the presence of that person and how they made me feel. And my hope and my wish was always that I made people feel that same way. And that wasn't because I was a hairdresser. That was because I tried my damnedest to live from the sense of being the best human being that I could be. I knew what it was like to live in my world and not have compassion and kindness in ways that we need it shown to me. And so I was going to do my damnedest to make sure that I showed other people that they were special, because there was not very many places in my life that I felt like I was wanted, special, important, valued, any of the above. But do you know what that reflection was? That was me. That was me. I didn't honor myself. I didn't value myself. I put myself last on the list. And in finding myself, in taking this journey, in making my way all the way through to more than existing, and now coming down to the finish line of more than existing. And it's always going to be taught, it's always, but finishing up the creation of more than existing is all the way down to a teaching program that I teach called The Light Worker, and recognizing the light within us, and that we are the savior of ourselves. We're the God within. We are the goddess within. We are the everything that we seek so hard on the outside for. We are all of that within. And so as I've come down to finishing writing up completing the creation of more than existing, all 4 levels, when I'm down to writing the book, The Way, I realize that I'm living a virtuous life. And that in order to live a virtuous life, that you have to really, truly work from the inside out. Because we spent a lifetime trying to repair ourselves, fix ourselves from the outside. At the beginning of More Than Existing, it was a journey that I was taking to more than just exist. That I had to make up my mind to take ownership and responsibility for my life. Nobody else was going to do that. Well, that's what this is about. But this is on a different scale. This is not on the level of we're starting in self-actualization, self-awareness. And I hope to see, if you have not taken my More Than Existing, I hope to see you over there as well. This is about where we are right now. This is about first being able to find yourself, find your way back. Soul revival, this is about traveling back through time and picking up the pieces of you that you think you've lost. Little birds keep flying in front of my window. I love it. Little messengers are everywhere. And that's the thing. I don't miss a thing anymore. I see in every moment the beauty, the opportunity, the chance, the choice to choose and make my own mind up. And every moment is an opportunity for something. And I'm not missing the moments. I have a lot of moments left to live. And hopefully we all have a lot of moments left to live. And if we have a lot of moments left to live, do you really want to waste them? Do you really want to squander them in trying to keep seeking and searching out there for what is in here? And whether it is validation, whether it's to be enough, whether it's to be loved, whether it's that you don't want to give up the role of being the mother, you want to hold tight to that, and I don't mean the energy of being a mom. I mean that well-defined title that when someone asks you what you do and who you are, you say, first of all, I am a mother. I am a mother. You're a woman. You're a woman first. And that's where we start, is we don't have to define ourselves by the roles that we play in this life or by how we've succeeded and the rewards for the accomplishments within academic or within the jobs or within the amount of money that we store and have in our banks. And yes, that's a beautiful thing too. We can do that. But there's so much more. There's so much more. And you can have $5 million in the bank. But if you're still defining yourself by trying to fill up and nurture from everything out there, including your own children, you still have a sense of a poor mind or a sense of trying to find your worth and your value within somebody outside of you. And that's not fair to even our kids. There's so many things that I've come to realize. And there's so many things that actually matter now that didn't matter before, including looking at the back of my head. Never used to matter. Never used to matter. But now that I matter, Now that everything about me matters, even the back of my head matters, but not in an obsessive way. What that means is that I have learned to fall in love. And I used to say the words, but I've learned to fall in love with every little piece of me. Because if I'm turning 50, I've made it to the end of another time in my life. And if I'm still standing at that end, or if I'm still standing right now and I've made it to the end of a story. Every night you go to bed, you've made it to the end of a story. You've made it to the end. You've made it to the end of a cycle. You've made it past 12. You've made it around the clock. You've made it around the sun. And then we go into darkness. And that's where we find our wholeness. Because in there is where we let it all go. That's the only time that we let go of all control, all what if, all thoughts, all trying to get somewhere, all trying to accomplish something. We just sleep. And while in that darkness, we trust that we're going to wake up again. We don't go to bed thinking, maybe tomorrow, maybe I'm going to die. I better not go to sleep. I might die. No. We trust. We trust in the dark. But the fact that we have attached ourselves to darkness, to the meaning and the conditioned stories of darkness and to be in the dark, then we attach it to a negative entity. We attach it to somebody else has to save us. No. But I can tell you what a healthy woman does. A healthy woman holds space for another woman who really, truly is sitting in her darkness. And yeah, she's very aware she has a light, or she might not know she has a light, but someday she will. And she may not ever be able to repay you, but she will repay it with her words, her kindness, and her compassion that she will show another woman that is also then going through this moment of darkness. So there's a time between the 12 and the 1. It is called 0. And that is the wholeness of life. And that's where From the Shadows comes from. So this soul revival is based around the oracle cards, the everyday goddess, the everyday goddess. And when Kuan Yin started to come to me years ago, Kuan Yin is an amazing, beautiful goddess. When she started to come to me, when Mother Mary came to me, they didn't come dressed up. They came showing me what they were without being cloaked, is how they called it. They were not cloaked in roles and identities. They came uncloaked. And they showed me they were just women. And the only way that they would stand true to the testimonial version of being a divine presence, or to be a goddess and to be revered and worshipped, would be to dress them in cloaks and golds and to decorate the heart of Mother Mary in her womb, so that the whole world could see what she went through and what she was exposed to. To see Kuan Yin dressed in her gold, so that she would be worthy enough to be called a goddess. But when they appeared to me, they came uncloaked. They knew I would see the ah. They knew from my past experience as a hairdresser, as a woman who looked in through the eyes of many, many women. And as much as some women would like to tell a different story of what they thought I thought of them, that's their story, not mine. Because, someone else can't put your thoughts and your words in your mouth. They can make them up, but they can't put them in. Was all I seen through that mirror was the same beautiful soul that I seen in those. I seen spirit. I seen their pain. I seen hurt. I seen everything they tried to mask with a hairdo, a makeup, a clothes, by either, wanting the people to see them as somebody, to appear as a certain status, to not appear as that, to try to shrink and hide in the chair. And every one of them all had one common thing: a light. A light. And sometimes most could not see that until they went to walk out of the chair. And that statement, you always make me feel good, or I love getting my hair done, I feel better. That was because you spent enough time sitting looking at yourself in the mirror. That you actually seen a glimpse of you. You've seen a glimpse of the true you. Not long enough to probably maintain it. Not long enough to be able to know that you were equally as worthy, valuable without being masked and cloaked or without your roles and identity. But you've seen it. You got a glimpse. And what I've come to learn now is no matter whether I'm in pajamas, no matter whether I'm having a mental breakdown, no matter whether I'm in a depressed moment, no matter if I'm dressed and I'm on screen, I'm still the same light. And in my darkest days, I know something will end. This too shall end. The pain might not end, but this moment that I'm in shall end. Because there's going to be another moment. There's going to be another opportunity. There's going to be that next moment. And every moment, every night there's a chance to wash away. Every time you get in the shower or the bath. And so from the shadows, the everyday oracle, this was the card that started as the 0. And then it moved to the 1. And it's a woman with her beautiful divine feminine wrapped in beautiful hearts. And when we started this, the hair wasn't as long. The woman wasn't she wasn't as big in the water. She wasn't as larger than life. Her hair didn't really look like golden wings. You could see the difference between what was her hair and what was her wings. You could see the difference. And she had little tiny red hearts. So she had her little tiny human heart. And when this started for me, all I had drawn was I draw lines, silhouettes. And so I had a little, looked like a half a peanut with a belly button, and then a little stroke like horns, and that was the little split of the vagina, the legs, the everything, and it had the little boobs, and it was done in golden gel pen. And I wrote 0, wholeness, and that every single night, this was my opportunity to baptize myself. And I read that in reading the book about Mary Magdalene, and the truth of, and some of the story and all the stories of Mary Magdalene. And in here, I come to understand that baptizing yourself, of becoming your own savior, of being a born again, is that every time you wash away, you let go, you surrender, is an opportunity to be born again. Every morning is a new beginning. It's a rebirth. It is time. So the card went from a 0 to a 1 because, there was a desire to somewhere be important somewhere. So to be a number 1 was going to be important somewhere, because I was never, ever a number 1. It was the story of how all this started, was that I'm the number 2 child. And I told that story for years until I come to write the book and transmute all of my anger to a voice of love, and then to look at life with a more open mind and a new perspective for the other goddess that was involved in the story, my mother. Another woman, not the mommy to the little girl, not the mom to the teenager, not the mother to who I am today, but to the woman that she is, named Angela. And we don't associate back to the person. And I always say that to women. I'm like, well, do you know your mom? Do you know by name that person? And they're like, well, no, she's my mother. But do you know the woman? Did you ever take time to know the woman? Do you know their story? So learning my mother's story gave me an opportunity to sit with my dead grandmothers who have passed away years ago, and sit with them in prayer and in meditation and get to know them, ask for them to show me who they were as Pansy, who she was as Maggie. That was my grandmothers. Who they were as the women. Show me the women. And in finding that out, this card became the number 12 card in the deck. which I'm sure she might make her way back to zero by the time it is printed. Who knows? Because this is how we evolve. I start to create, not by waiting to perfect life, but by living life. So right now she sits at a 12 because she's at the end. It's not the end of the deck, but she's at the end of a cycle. She's at the end of her day. Her day is over. She can spread out her wings. She can let her shoulders fall down and let her wings fall out. She can wash her crown, our crown of glory, our hair. She can wash her crown. She can let it float. She can take it down. She can strip off the day, and she can float, and she can dream, and she can imagine. And she can imagine as if everything of the day washes away. And how many women lock the door to just get a quiet moment while kids and animals are scratching on the door? I've spent years having to leave my door open so I could breathe, because my world had been so collapsing in on me that I could not breathe with the bathroom door closed. So if I was trying to enjoy this moment, I literally would have to shut the door or open the door and not have anyone dare shut it, because I would feel as if I was closed in. Do you know why? Because the hardest person in the world to spend my time with was me. When your hardest person to spend your life with is yourself, you definitely have not built a relationship with you. You've been everywhere but home. Now I can shut the door, but I don't have to shut the door. There's nobody here. Only dogs and a partner, but that's different. And so this is golden. I called her Golden Gloria when I started because I remember my mom's best friend who passed away years ago, and she was only in her 40s as well. And her name was Gloria. And I loved Gloria, and I admired Gloria and her beautiful blonde hair. And when her beautiful blonde hair fell out, she told me, and it started to grow back, she told me she had chick fur. She said I was like a new chick. And she said, because I'm reborn. Because I've had my treatments and I'm going to start life over again, I'm like a chick. And she says, I'm a reborn chick. I can do anything I want. And she said, I can do anything I want in this world now. Be as bad as I want. I can do anything I want. Because now I know the only thing coming for me is death. The only thing at the very end, the end of it all, is I'm leaving. So if I'm going to leave, I'm going to enjoy life. I'm not going to worry about what I can't control, and I'm going to embrace and enjoy life. And she did that. And every time she would say that she would see the shadows coming for her, she'd say, not today, fuckers. I'm not going nowhere yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done living. I was in my 20s. And she passed away shortly after my daughter was born. She even was in the delivery room, peeking in through the door when I gave birth to my daughter. Because that's the kind of goddess she was. She wasn't missing a thing when she knew there was going to be an end. She knew where she would be standing at the end of her story, at that point, and that she wasn't going to make it to 50. What do I get to do? What do we get to do? We get to live for those women who didn't get to make it to there. So if we only live in our shell, if we only live in this human essence of us, of the human experience based on that, we're not living. There's a whole self in here. What you feel, what you hurt, the anxiety, all of that, that's you crying to get out. That's the real you. Tired of hiding, tired of being behind a mask. That's the truth. And that's who we really are. And so this is Golden Gloria. And I love Golden Gloria. And I really, truly have always had a relationship with hair. And I've had a relationship with the wings. And to know that we all are, in one way or the other, some form of being up on earth. We are we are spiritual beings, that we are angels upon earth. And we forget that we have wings. And we forget that we're golden. And we forget that we're here to have the human experience. And so this card, I will read this to you as we end out. As we end out the first of the next few weeks of being together, that this Golden Gloria, at the end of her cycle, at the 12, the clock strikes 12. And so when the clock strikes 12, and at the 12 mark, we do not jump all the way to 1. There's a pause. There's a rest. There's darkness. This is when we're whole. When we've let go of all control, when we've surrendered it all over, and we've washed it all away, and we're free, and we're at peace. And we found heaven on earth, even if it's for 4 hours to 7 hours that we sleep, whatever it may be. Because we haven't yet figured it out on earth. I am here to tell you to let it all go. Take off the energy of the day. Take off the energy of the day, the life. Take off the mask and just let the weight of the world fall away, and let yourself feel weightless and float away. Being a number 1 is a part of the overrated desire. You are here to be whole, not perfect. The 12th hour, the end of the cycle, the end of the day, both is an opportunity to rest. Both begins a change. Today, I set myself free, and I allow myself to see the magic of the woman in me, for I am golden. This is to be golden. And if we have to hide away to have that moment, or if we have to go to sleep to have that moment, or if we have to find it in meditation and in prayer, we are missing something. That this we need more of. And to be this beautiful, to let ourselves flow, to let ourselves be this vulnerable, real, raw, it takes taking off the mask. It takes digging deep, and it takes going inward. Today and every day, I operate from my super ego self. Just trying my best to be better than I was yesterday, to be the best human that I can be. And most of all, to treat myself the same way that I would treat everybody else. Kindness, compassion, love. And I have learned at the end of the story, at the end of the cycle, that I now have faith in me. I didn't run from my shadows, and I didn't let my shadows go. I traveled through the depth of the darkness, which is the soul revival. I traveled to the depth of my darkness because I knew I was a light and I was safe to do it, and picked up all of the pieces of me that I tried to run from, hide from, try to get rid of, out of shame, out of conditioning, out of being told that she would not be enough, or that she was not a good person or a nice person. And I found all the parts of her and how hard she was actually working to protect me. And it was not an easy journey, but it was a journey well worth taking, because what I've learned is that I am golden, and I am a goddess, and I am a woman, and I am worthy to walk this journey. And so on a soul revival, I'm allowing you to walk through this door, this open heart that is right here, and then to allow the eye of the soul to show you all of the love that is right there in you.